Toward the end of the summer of 1956, my family was allowed to return to Budapest after several years of internal exile. My father was still serving the sentence for spying for the Americans after World War II. That left my mother, sister, and myself. We moved back to my grandparents' comfortable house on a hilltop in Buda. This is where I was born. I started in the 4th grade at my old school, and within 2 months the revolution broke out. Everything closed down. I sat in my grandmother's kitchen night after night, marveling at the tracers stream across the skyline and listening to the artillery fire whistle by overhead. The adults were terrified and at the same time hopefully tuned in to the Radio Free Europe. This was a time of mystery and awe for a kid of 9 years. I heard there were many people dying in the city below. I'd been to funerals in the village, but never seen a dead person. Early one morning I answered the doorbell. There was a man in raggedy, unwashed clothes looking down at me. I thought he was a beggar. He had a kind look on his face. Beggars weren't uncommon in those days, so I went back to the kitchen and called for my grandmother to get him some food. When we came back, the man had tears running down his scrawny, unshaven cheeks. I hadn't seen my father in 3 years, and I didn't recognize him. Well, we had a bit of a reunion. He got cleaned up, then he went to look for his other 2 sons from a previous marriage. I don't remember much after that, except there was a lot of talk about borders closing and the Russians coming back. We started preparing to go somewhere far away, and it seemed as though we probably weren't coming back soon. It was unclear whether my father was going to come with us. This was a time of great confusion. Day by day, the borders were more difficult to cross. My mother could wait no longer. She and her sister packed up the kids and we left in the cover of darkness one night. We were headed back to the village where I had spent the past 2 years. It was now December. My father was too weak to leave, so my uncle stayed behind to help him cross the border later. We crossed the Austrian border with a group of about 25 on a cold, foggy December night. It was the 18th. My uncle showed up in the refugee camp in Austria sometime in the spring. His hair had turned silver in the few months that had passed. My father never made it. They were caught twice together trying to get across the border to Austria and thrown briefly in jail. The third time, my uncle left alone. He jumped a train to Yugoslavia, dodging a volley of machine gun fire. I never saw my father after that. We immigrated to the U.S., settled in California in the summer of 1957. A lot happened in the next 30 years before I finally returned for a visit. I'd been married and divorced. I had 2 teenage children. Throughout my absence, my sister Marcia had kept in touch with the family. She spent a lot of time in Europe and did the research for her dissertation in Hungary, so I got regular reports. My father died in 1969. My grandparents were able to visit us before they passed away in the 70s. My brother Akos even came to visit right after my son was born. In the late 80s, with a lot of encouragement from my family and friends, I decided it was time to go back and see things for myself. I realized that as tough as things had been, I had very fond memories from my childhood. So by the time I made it back in 1988, I had a lot of catching up to do. People had died and people had been born. Everything seemed a lot smaller than I'd remembered it. The last time I'd seen my oldest brother, Balázs, was a few days before we escaped. He was hiding at my grandmother's. His shoulders were badly bruised and damaged. He had never learned to fire a weapon properly. He'd been engaged in the fighting in the city below. I settled into my grandmother's house with the family, and after getting reacquainted, I rented a car and went down to the village, Szentbékely. I parked my car in town and walked up to our house just above the church. People I passed looked on with curiosity. I knocked on the door and introduced myself to my father's widow, Eva. She was shocked by how much I resembled him. I guess that's why all the curiosity in the village.
Nem fél az agyamba. Hát én...
Hát 45 éve mentem el. Hát.
Ja. 45. Hát igen, nem.
The house was totally run down. The roof leaked. The plaster was cracking everywhere. Most of the vineyard had gone to weed. The cellar was in good shape. After all, it was in the ground and had survived at least 500 years. The house was a different story. Built out of stone and mud in the mid-1700s, it had seen better days and a lot of weather. We had to fix the roof immediately or it would soon wash away. I got along great with Eva. She was a retired school teacher and had stories galore. We shared many a glass of local wine, and I got to know my father much better through her memories. We eventually started looking for new tiles and a crew to re-roof the house. Since then, the family farm has taken on a whole new character.
The family farm in Szentbékely is now run by Balázs and Clara, my aunt and uncle. Clara produces dozens of herbs and spices for market. Balázs oversees the almond production of about 1,200 trees. He also has a wheat field in the basin below the village. Since my dad started coming back to Hungary, my brother and I have visited several times. I feel like I have a home here. This summer we came again, this time to work on the farm and film a documentary on my family history and the building of my father's house, which is on the property adjacent to the farm. This is József, the farmhand. This was one of the first organic farms in Hungary. Bugs enjoy a chemical-free lunch until the sprayer comes by with certified organic bug spray.
So this is the pile of rocks that I've been collecting in the past 6 months to start building my house. This is a red sandstone, hard sandstone. That's actually, this is mined in the. There's a quarry on that far hill. That's where this red rock comes from, which is commonly used in building here.
When my father arrived, he met with an architect and builder.
Mondjuk ebbe a, pont így ebbe az irányba, hogy ne teljesen párhuzamosan legyen.
With their help and the help of Balázs, my dad began to navigate the convoluted post-Soviet permit process. Because of remnant communist bureaucracy, the building of the house was continually delayed. But we didn't let that stop us. In Sindikala, we worked hard and relaxed a lot. The front porch was where animals and people hung out.
Are we making mashed potatoes or just potatoes?
I don't know, Anna's doing something.
I wasn't making mashed potatoes, just potatoes. Oh, I should cut all this up. We spent the summer taking the train back and forth between Budapest and Szentendrei. The Danube River runs through Budapest. Pest is on the eastern flatland. Buda is on the western hills. A quick trip across the river brings us into Pest. The neoclassical architecture is blanketed by soot because of coal burning and emissions. This gives the city a Gothic presence. Ten years after the fall of the Iron Curtain, Budapest is thriving with color, fashion, and capitalism. On this trip, my uncle Akos and cousin Anna joined us. It turned into an impromptu grammar lesson.
That object.
That object is in your hand and doing that. In Greek, Indul. Yeah.
Back in Sindikala, we cut the fence between the farm and my dad's land.
Júj, micsoda villám, ezt láttátok.
Pull him back.
Last nail. Good thing you didn't put my eye out.
Lehet vigyázz.
Always mercy.
I'll get it from this side. Step, 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 step. Pillar, pillar. And then we'll have to make it come back to these posts.
I think you can get it better.
Hold it, post, pillar. A low stone. Spirits or any unfriendly spirits to go hang out somewhere else.
This is where the house will be. We watched the storm roll in off Lake Balaton. Then made for the farmhouse for the night.
The transition between the old house and the new house will be designed and built by my son.
Just a natural, nice shape, really, you know. It's got a little moss on it.
Hey Jonah,
What?
is that as good as a Budweiser?
Better.
Better than Bud?
How about the same?
I know you're gonna be out here till 10 o'clock.
Kind of start cleaning them out a little bit.
Jonah,
Yeah.
you sure?
Huh?
Okay. Where's the level?
We cooked our dinner around the fire that my ancestors sat around for centuries.
What are you eating, honey?
Like from pickle. Good is it? Bad. Pig skin? 2.
You're eating the skin, honey? The pig leather?
I did. It was yummy.
Csak így, ahol most a gerinc van, ott
Így,
oda
ahogy
kell
van,
innen
ide.
tartani.
Tehát gyakorlatilag ide akarjuk.
Igen. De ez elhelyezésre maradna így a pincéhez.
Igen, de...
Ide átolválni.
Nem Attila, nem, hanem ezt így képzeld el. Innen megford és ide visz. Teljesen a pincen elé.
Ez a sarok. Ez a sarok. Ide.
Alapozási gondok is, hát akkor ezen a ponton, tudod, mert ha abba a percben, hogyha a régi alapsít,
50.
elkezdesz nagyon meg. Vagy földbe kell nagyon sietni az elejét, vagy olyan barom magas lesz elefele nézés, hogy akkor megmutatni tudom, hogy ennyit van. Pláne, hogy a vége egész front lesz. Azért nagyon lesz, meg kell csinálni a topót.
Topót meg kell csinálni, hogy lássuk igazából.
Persze, ezt megcsinálgatod, és akkor ugye ráadásul aztán, hát jó, mondjuk ez nem egy olyan tömegű építmény itt, hogy ehhez képest ugye, hogy ez nagyon feltűnő, ha arra csúszik, de hogy mondtam már, addig nincs baj, amíg valaki nem kockázik a dologban. Akkor kezdődik.
Ezt nem kérdezted meg Attilának, de hogy
Hát
ugye most képzeld el, én a rátkerestem a savonlóra, nem pedig pár napig. Most hittem. Most.
ja, a Fabóni oda lesz.
Most.
Ja, azért, mert
Mióta van beadva?
én az Attilával
Mióta?
ők is, mert most elég sokan támadják őket, itt fenyegetik, hogy feljelentik, stb. Mert ugye mindenki építkezni akar a környéken, és ugye hát előfordult az, hogy valaki régi téglában nincs levakolva, nem csak úgy. Meg belül is egyszerű, végül is egyszerű. Mondom,
De ezt mondom, ez ami a Pistán volt, egyben Pistán.
Nem, hanem ott lejjebb, lent van.
És mondjuk nem jövünk be, akkor az átrendszer elvisznek kell. Hát ők is úgy akarják, így akarják.
Nem.
1, 2, meg a földhivatalnál elintézni, hogy azt a kis darabot
Preset
kiszeded a művelési ár. És azt akkor már lehet,
Preset on
amikor megvan a...
with sharpness and color enhanced.
Most egyszerű a dolog, mert gyorsan venni kell egy izét, tehát a terv nem tudom, úgy lett benyújtva, hogy akkor azt ki kellene benne valahogy cserélni azt a... Tehát meglévőnek kéne írni az a...
Szerintem jó.
Nekem is tetszik ez a
Jó.
és az idegesített, és nem volt semmi nyugati fekvése, és közel volt az úthoz, szóval ha ide húzol az egészet. Most csúnya a terasz, majd meglátjuk erről a teret.
De mindig, de én majd most megmutatom, de hiszen azt hiszem tőletek is látjuk, ez a, amit ott apátokat csináltak, ez a tót, ez a tócsán, ez öreg.
február 25-i.
Áprilisban azért, mert vártuk itt ezeket a hiányzó nyavajákat. Szerződést, mit tudom, mert nincs még átírva a földhivatalba, tehát kellett a szerződés
igen,
hozzá.
igen.
Hát kész van, én nem is tudom mióta ez. Január óta, franc, vagy február, vagy mióta megvan ez.
Ha már ráadásul ő neki tényleg